Hello, welcome. Patrick and Valère are going to talk us all through invisible crypto. Now, this talk was first given at Matrix Conf 2024. It was a banger. Unfortunately, the audio, we think, wasn't quite there. And so we're going to re-record it now so that we can share it with you good people. So with that in mind, Patrick, Valère, you have the floor.
Cool. Thank you, Neil. Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining the second presentation of our talk about invisible cryptography. First, want to say hi to everybody. So my name is Patrick Meyer. I'm one of the product people at Element. Used to work with the crypto team and with Valère for quite some time, which is also where we came up with the ideas and concepts we want to talk about today. Meanwhile, I've moved to the backend team, so responsible for all things in terms of product in that area. But still in good memory of the crypto team. So Valère, you want to introduce yourself?
So hello, so I'm Valère. So I will be talking here for the technical part. So again, this is not the original presentation. This is just a tribute. And we wanted to do this presentation with both product and technical part because it's really what we tried to do. We tried to take cryptography from the product side and try to make it work uh, in a way that is understandable for the user, trying to like form the technical part so that it fits the product vision.
Exactly, yeah. So from our point of view, invisible crypto basically, first of all, is a collection of measures, a collection of concepts to make matrix cryptography, as the name says, invisible, and to improve its usability such that it is easier for like ordinary users, non-technical users, to actually use the product. And with that, it's also one of the cornerstones of the new Element app generations, namely Element X, and also Element Web for the future. So before we dive deep into the topics, just how we structured today's talk. First of all, we want to look a bit together with you at like how Matrix Crypto looks today, what challenges we are facing, why actually it isn't invisible, as we would say. We will use the Element apps to like look at a couple of concrete examples, try to, yeah, as I said, outline the challenges such that we, in the second part or in the second section here, can make a proposal how to actually address all these challenges and how to improve for the future. Chapter 3 basically has the name. So now I have to always verify my devices. And once we are there, you will understand what that means. In the end, we want to give some takeaways and a summary to conclude the talk. But before we look at the examples where crypto isn't invisible today, Valère wants to give us some level setting, why Matrix and our stack makes it hard or very challenging, at least, to make crypto usable.
Yeah, so basically, Matrix is a very different beast. So it's like it has a lot of problem to solve. It's not like a single device centralized service. It was really multi-device from the beginning, and multi-device in end-to-end encryption adds a layer of complexity. There was also a lot of difference in the typical device life cycle, with frequent login and logout, like you would do with web. It's very different on mobile. On mobile, you log in once and you never log out. Other very strange things, you have access to your encrypted history on new devices. So it's unique. Like you don't have that in other end-to-end encrypted chat. There are also specificities about the threat model. It's like it's decentralized, and you really don't trust the servers, which is different in other services with only one server and centralized. So all of that made it sort of very hard to provide good usability. And Patrick will give you some example.
Cool. Thank you. So first and foremost, one of the things we frequently hear and like totally agree ourselves in the Matrix universe is that the terminology is very technical, from technical people for technical people, kind of, and it's inconsistent in many cases. It's not only inconsistent across different Matrix vendors or developers, it's even inconsistent within particular ones. As you can see on these screenshots here, just as a couple of examples, they are taken from Element Web and Element X, our new mobile app generation. So, and if you look at the first one here, that is a settings section in Element Web, where it refers to a secure backup. It speaks about a security key, couple of buttons, which aren't like easily understandable what they do and why you would use them. And if you compare that with basically the same settings section in the new product generation in Element X, it now says chat backup and has totally different options. There is a reason why it has different options. We are rationalizing them, but in the end, the point I want to make is it has a different name. Here we refer to a recovery key, where it has been a security key. Things are confusing. We have other technical terminology, which is not from this section, but is very relevant as well. It says here cross-signing, for example. This is also from web. Cross-signing is ready for use. No normal person on this planet knows what cross-signing is. So very technical, very hard to understand, and even across the platforms, different wording, which, yeah, is a challenge, is a problem. Then that's also, I think, a big challenging area where crypto simply isn't invisible at all. It is like actually the other way around. It's very much in your face because there are quite a couple of technical attack risks or attack vectors which Matrix doesn't provide solutions for yet. And instead of providing a proper technical solution, it basically just tells the user that this attack vector exists to make at least awareness for that, which can't be a good solution because most users obviously do not understand and in the end don't have any protection against these attack vectors. So in the first case here, there is a possibility that a malicious home server admin inserts a device for a particular user and uses that to send messages, and directly after that removes the device again so that they can impersonate this user. As there is no way yet, at least, to protect against this, such messages sent from deleted devices are basically highlighted with that shield. The next case here is related to backup, where you just have signed in a new device and you want to obtain your message history, including the encryption keys, or decryption keys, better to say, to actually read these messages. Where you frequently see, and that is one of the most annoying things from a user's point of view, in my opinion, frequently see this shield that tells you that the authenticity of this encrypted message cannot be guaranteed. The reason for that is that there is to date no mechanism to make sure that the keys, the message keys, encryption keys that are uploaded to the backup are actually uploaded by a device of this particular user. So there is the possibility that a malicious admin has tampered with them and basically changes the content of the messages in your backup. So that is deferred to the user. There are no proper solutions for this. No normal user will understand this. And that is not all. There are other attack vectors, especially relating to unverified or insecure devices, or when users actually change their identity. So today you can in Matrix very well have unverified devices, meaning devices which are not signed by your cryptographic identity. So they are only protected by your login credentials, so to speak. There isn't any cryptographic proof that they belong to you, to your identity, so to speak. And the only way this can be noticed today is by this weird shield saying encrypted by a device not verified by its owner. So yeah, these are particular challenges we're looking at solving.
Yeah.
Well,
So, yeah. So have you seen, like in Matrix, we always tried to never break communication. So we let you speak even if there is an issue with the device, and instead we show a lot of warnings, and it's creating a lot of noise. uh, so if you really want protection against man in the middle attacks, you have to verify other users. So this is done thanks to the verification with emoji. You can see that here. So it's very feasible to do that in a DM. But also, if you are in a group chat and you start having 5, 6 people, 10, it's very, very hard to get to verify everyone. And I mean, you have to meet them in person, do the verification. And if someone you don't know enters a room, how do you do that? So basically, you can have a better protection, but it's very complex. And we think we can improve that significantly without the burden of doing that for everyone. So yeah, we can see that on the next slide. It's like we added through the years a lot of very powerful tools, but we are not really using them to their full extent. So we have cross signing that allows us to uh, cryptographically say that a device is yours. We have secret storage and key backup that allows you to recover history. We have dehydrated device that could allow you to read messages even if you have no device online. So we have QR verification. uh, so yeah, we also historically gave users a lot of option freedom to use the product in different ways. So it creates very complicated setup where some clients support encryption, some others not. You have encrypted room, non-encrypted room. You can use verified or an unverified device. Some users do not have cross signing. So yeah, this makes it very, very complex. And we believe that if we are a bit more opinionated on how to use all of that, we can have invisible crypto.
and that is yeah, basically the bottom line. All this complexity doesn't help if we expose this to the user. This complexity needs to be hidden, and from a user's point of view, no ordinary user wants to encrypt messages. What they want to do is they want to communicate. They want it to be secure in some cases, but obviously they don't want to sacrifice any comfort for that. And yeah, it doesn't help if you need to understand technical details in order to use such a messenger, because then there will be shadow IT. People will go back to their consumer applications and use them instead because they are very easy. And the clear goal here for Matrix and Element is to catch up in that regard and to be at least as easy as other competitor products. And for that, crypto must become invisible. So yeah, as a next step of the or next part of the presentation, we want to make a proposal how that is achievable. Also looking at the examples we gave in the first part, we clearly don't want to do this in a vacuum for Element ourselves. We instead want to take a holistic approach for the entire Matrix ecosystem. So this is also an ask to other client developers to look at our proposals. This will only work if everybody comes together and comes with us to a common understanding. We're proposing a couple of MSCs for that. To basically have a holistic approach. So when you saw me ranting about inconsistent terminology and terminology for technical users, or only understandable to technical users, then this is basically our answer. So to deal with these inconsistencies and with all the technical language in Element, but also in other Matrix clients, we propose an MSC, which is 4161, crypto terminology for non-technical users. This has basically come up in the crypto team because each time we were designing new feature implementations for Element X, we've had many discussions about wording. You've seen a couple of examples where we have ourselves created inconsistencies, and that is not to speak about other Matrix clients who have their own thinking. So to make actually to live up to the values of Matrix of interoperability, we think it is important to establish consensus about certain features, especially the complex features, and how they are referred to in user-facing components. So what we do here in that MSC is to suggest a couple of conventions for different areas around crypto functionalities. We describe that from our point of view, what it entails. We give a couple of usage examples and also things to avoid, to be very clear how this terminology is to be used, and to provide a positive example where this can lead to. I've taken these two screenshots from our design team, basically, which show the exact same setting section that I've showed initially, but with the new paradigms of that MSC applied, where we, on the left is web, on the right is Element X, now refer to key storage. We have that consistent, and we have exactly the same functionality here. The wording is the same, and it looks a lot better to my for my taste, and it is also very much easier, a lot easier usable for normal people.
Okay, so now let's talk a bit technically about the three pillars of Invisible Crypto. So we said that we want to be more opinionated. So, and let me tell you what we want to do and why we think it's better. So first of all, we want cross-signing and device verification to be mandatory. So that means you have to, when you sign in a new device, you have to verify it. We will just ignore devices that are not signed by their owners. That means we will drop messages coming from them. So it's a very bold move. We won't send the keys and we won't accept the keys from them. And also we are introducing identity pinning. The idea is to have a better default security for everyone. So let me go through the details. So first, about cross-signing, if you can jump to the next slide. So basically, currently, we are considering all the devices that are in a room before sending keys to these devices. And so every device has a sort of root and trust anchor, like we trust a device. It could be blacklisted, whitelisted. So we added cross-signing, but just adding cross-signing is not making things simpler, because now instead of having n devices, we have n plus 1. So we have like n plus 1 nodes that we need to authenticate. So we are going to stop doing that. Now we only want to authenticate the identity. So we have the identity, we trust it or not, and the identity signs devices. And we only consider the signed devices. So if a device is not signed by any identity, we will ignore it. So for example, in the next slide, yeah, for a device that is not signed by its owner, we call that an insecure device. It's just ignore. It doesn't exist. They won't be able to read messages, and the message they will send will be ignored. So that means that all these warnings we showed you previously, like encrypted by device, not verified by its owner, it goes away. There won't be any message. I mean, if it's not verified by its owner, we drop it. When someone is using a deleted session, all of that is dropped. So but we remove a lot of the warning that you see that are mostly noise. And the idea behind that is my devices are my problem and your devices are your problem. I don't need to see warning because you have unsigned device. I cannot do anything about it. So now you manage your devices, I manage my devices. So the other thing we talked about is k-pinning. So if we can go to the next slide. As we said previously, if you want very good security, you have to verify everyone. So we want now to have a sort of better default for everyone, given that it can be hard to verify everyone. So we are implementing a sort of trust on first use mechanism. So the idea is that the first time we see an identity, we trust it blindly. Okay, so it's trusted. We only consider a device signed by this identity. But if this identity changes, we will show you, we will still continue to talk, like we don't break communication, but we show you in the timeline, oh, Alice identities has changed. So it's the warning you see here. So it's not like in your face, big warning. So it's already a big improvement now because a server cannot like alone tells you these are the keys for this user and signed every devices. You will have something. You will see that in the timeline. So it's the thing you see in other encrypted messenger, where it's telling you that the security code has changed. Probably Alice lost her device or something like that. So with that, without no action taken, like we have not verified, you already have a far better security than what you have now. Of course, you can still verify. So if we can show it in the next slide. So yeah, for more security, you can and you should verify users. In that case, we are changing from a non-blocking warning to a blocking warning. So this time, if someone you verified and has changed his identity, if you try to send a message, you won't be able to do it. You will have to manually confirm, I saw the identity has changed, and then you can decide to re-verify the user if you can, or you can stop talking, or if you want, you can say it's fine, withdraw the verification requirement. But there is no risk of leaking a message to someone that you previously verified that has changed his identity. So yeah, that's it for the key concept of invisible crypto. Patrick, you will talk a bit about backup and the gray shields, because I have not talked about the gray shields.
Yeah, exactly. So with what Valère just explained, identity pinning and also making device verification mandatory, we basically put users in a security or secure by default position, which as a side outcome also allows us to get rid of a lot of these warnings, because users are basically kept secure by default, as I said. But there are a couple of things that aren't touched by this. One of them is that message shield or warning that I've quickly talked about initially, where it says the authenticity of this message cannot be guaranteed if you restore your message history from backup. And for that particular part, we have come up with a dedicated solution, which we refer to as authenticated backup. So that again is an MSC which we propose for the entire Matrix ecosystem to be implemented by every client, and it actually doesn't only make the user aware of an issue, but actually solves the issue and thereby removes the necessity to make users aware at all, such that it can become invisible in the end. So what it does is when one of your clients uploads message keys to your key storage on the server, it will basically add an authentication tag. Basically, you can imagine that like a cryptographic signature, which in turn, once you restore the keys from backup, can be used to validate the authenticity of the keys. So you can be sure that these keys have been uploaded by one of your clients, and for that the messages are also authentic. So that can be proven with that new mechanism. And if keys are not authentic, like if they have been tampered with, in the future they would just be dropped, and there is no reason at all for users to be bothered with this. So again, MSC state not yet part of the specification, but yeah, we're pushing this forward basically to make crypto more invisible.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk a bit about a technical challenge. So there are several. So this is just one of them, but it's just to show that we had this like bold requirement from a project to just like ignore insecure device. And so this is a challenge for technically for us, because as you know, it's an asynchronous and to an encrypted system. So a device that you have never seen could start writing to you. So you will receive room keys from devices you're not yet aware of. And so that means that now there's a difference. Previously, we would just store the key, and later on, uh, when we try to decrypt, trying to find the authenticity of the key, like the cryptographic proof of sender. But now we have to do that at reception of the key, because we need to decide if we drop or if we don't drop the message. So yeah, a technical challenge. So for that, we created a new MSC. You can go and read it and see if you have concern. But the idea is now that the first time you send a message to someone, you also embed your device keys that allows at reception to check if the device is signed by its owner, if it's a secure device. And so now we can get rid of this red shield, which is very annoying because, as Patrick said, the server was able previously to create a one-off device, send a message, delete it. And then on reception, you cannot know if it was a real device or not. And now you can. Now, if I create a device, then send a message and delete it, it will be embedded. The keys will be embedded, so I will be able to verify. So we get rid of this warning, and it was very big. That's why it was red, by the way. It's like because it could be a device, a one-off device injected by the server. And now, if you can try currently, if you try to send a device from a one-off device that was signed, there would be no warning anymore. We know that it was safe. So yeah, just an example how we try to change the technical layers so that it fits what the product wanted. And of course, yeah, Patrick, I have to verify all my devices now.
Yes.
What?
I mean, as we have seen, the mandatory device verification is at the heart of these concepts, and like a very important pillar or cornerstone to enable making crypto invisible and properly usable, and that for good reasons. But yeah, we have heard a couple of voices at least asking this question. So now that becomes mandatory. I now have to verify my devices, and that even if I only use public rooms, like without encryption and all these, like there are different use cases, obviously, for Matrix clients, but we as Element believe that basically users should be kept secure by default, which is why we suggest this move, not only for Element clients, but for the entire Matrix ecosystem. So yes, at least in Element clients, you will be forced to verify your devices in the future. To be very clear, this is not about verifying the identities of other users. This is just for you and your devices to make sure that your devices belong to you and to basically enable all the functionality that the clients have to that the clients offer. So yes, this is opinionated, as Valère said earlier. It offers less choice for users, but it makes people using Matrix secure by default. You don't have to know anything to be secure, which is super important from my point of view. And it also ensures that clients have everything they need to operate properly. One example, if you don't verify your devices, you will not, these devices will not have the key to the key storage on the server. So you will not be able to obtain your message history on unverified clients, which is bad, obviously. So you want to verify that anyway. So yeah, and last but not least, in terms of usability, users do not have to be bothered anymore with shields and weird indicators that we have seen in the examples that we gave in this talk. So yeah, only positive actually, but isn't this all going to be very cumbersome, you might ask? Kind of, but we have functionality already here that is there to make this a lot easier, and that is a QR code login. So if you have already a signed in device and want to sign in new devices, you can just scan a QR code from the existing device, which will basically automatically do everything you need. It will transfer your connection information, like for example, which home server you're using. It will sign in your new device without asking you to enter your credentials or anything, and it will automatically verify that device, which is the important part in the context of this talk, and transfer all the security secrets such that you are, as I said, secure by default and properly set up. So to showcase this quickly, this is from Element Web, where your user dropdown shows this new entry. You can link a new device, which shows you the QR code here, which you can then use from your mobile device where you have Element X running. You start up the app just fresh from the App Store and get these three options here. You can either sign in with QR code, which is the prominent option here and what we actually want to do because it's so simple. If you don't want to do that, you can also sign in manually or create an account. In this case, we would just hit sign in with QR code, get a couple of instructions, what you need to do on your other device, and then, well, just scan that QR code that's presented in web. And that's all you need to do, basically. Now you're basically set up and can start using the product. You are secure by default. All is good. So with that, we're approaching the end of the talk. Just a quick summary and also ask to basically the Matrix ecosystem, people who are being active there, especially the ones who develop clients, Matrix clients. These concepts here need your support. So just to reiterate, Invisible Crypto basically is a collection of concepts which we have just on a high level introduced in this talk, with the clear goal to improve crypto usability in Matrix and making it as invisible as possible. With that, we are looking at the MSC for the crypto terminology for non-technical users, the concepts behind identity pinning, and most importantly, excluding unsigned devices, making device verification mandatory, as well as the authenticated backup, and also including device keys in encrypted events. So we ask all client developers to engage with these MSCs, to provide feedback, to provide data to prove certain aspects in there, and to basically engage in a way that we can together move the Matrix ecosystem into these new paradigms to not only target the very technical folks, but also open up Matrix to where it should be, like basically in the middle of society, to enable everybody out there to have secure and sovereign communications. So, yeah.
Yep, that's a wrap. If you have any questions, please free to ask. So this is just a tribute. I mean, obviously the original presentation was a lot better.
I heard you had elephants, live elephants, and everything. Any questions?
I have a question. Yeah. Does that mean so with the current state or the current goal for integration developers and people which develop some kind of bot functionality, which does not support encryption, that messages which are passed unencrypted into a room will not be shown to the next generation chat clients anymore?
It's interesting. Exactly this question has been asked on the conference day as well. And the answer is no, this is only for encrypted messages. If you can continue sending unencrypted messages, and they will be shown with an indicator that says they're unencrypted.
Okay, yeah, because it's one of the beauty of the Matrix protocol is at the end that you can just with a curl interact with the whole network, and it's an easy entry level, right?
The main change, I think, is for encrypted messages which are being sent from unverified devices. So Element clients won't let you do that in the future at all. But if you use a different Matrix client, which doesn't implement these new paradigms, you could still do that, but Element clients would then basically not accept these messages and don't show that.
So if you're using a bot that is doing encryption, this bot should have a cross-signing identity. So you should bootstrap cross-signing and also sign the bot's sessions. So yeah, so there are other discussion on how to handle bots. So far, we consider that as an orthogonal problem. But yeah, if we start doing that, bots that do end-to-end encryption has to do it properly.
Yeah, and I think at one point there was a belief that bots couldn't do encrypted messaging, but they definitely can. You can, and the libraries provide the ability to do it and to verify your devices.
Yeah, best case you do that, obviously, but if you're still still sending unencrypted messages, that will continue to work. That's the important part.
So is that true that we will have no more badges, or in which cases we will have some?
So badges, you mean message warning?
Yeah.
So they will all disappear apart from an encrypted message sent in clear. They should all disappear at the end. So of course, we have a transition period where we are slowly removing them. But instead of message shields, we are adding some new badges around identities. What you saw, like identity has changed, you saw that, are sent from a previously verified identity. So you sort of have identity warnings now, but not anymore per message per device. So yeah, just like any other encrypted message, no more warnings on messages.
Oh, that's really great. Thanks.
Just to highlight, there is another great piece of information in this regard, and that is a Matrix Live session, which was done with our dear colleague Andy, who is also here in the room, who explains invisible crypto and the paradigms we have just talked about from a slightly different angle, but also very well and very good to watch. So I recommend that for everybody.
Is there something like a migration plan for client developers? Like the Penta-Lyman project we had earlier on to enable actually crypto in a lot of places. Is there something like that which will help other client developers to speed up to implement this way of invisible crypto and invisible crypto behavior in their clients?
So two things. So we have here a plan to, at the end, if everyone agrees, toggle the switch on to exclude insecure devices. But what we are looking at is, how the ecosystem is doing about that. For example, we can just look at how many users, devices in the ecosystem are verified. And if we reach a given threshold, so that would mean that enough of the clients are doing mandatory verification, we would be in a good spot to transition. And the other thing is that currently the Rust SDK is doing all the heavy work, like all the work, basically. If you're building a client upon the Rust SDK, the heavy lifting is done for you. So you don't have to worry about it too much. It will be done. But yeah, what we plan to have a Are We Invisible Crypto Yet website, where we monitor at what point we can toggle the switch.
Cool.
Yeah, we of course we don't want to break the ecosystem into. So
But maybe for some deployments where they have closed private federation, they can enable it earlier if they work only with Element products, for example.
Exactly, and we recommend it even.
Yeah,
totally. Yeah. But it's important to understand that, to make the full transition, we are dependent on the Matrix ecosystem. So that's why we also put this in a way that we can, get to a common understanding with the ecosystem and not do our own way as Element, but instead try to convince the ecosystem that this is the better approach, and basically, also take the time to give everybody enough space to make that transition, and only then fully complete that, such that communication basically isn't interrupted for Matrix users.
But if I were a client developer watching this talk, and the one message that I'd want that person to take away would be, obviously look at all the MSCs that were mentioned today, but especially start thinking about how to encourage or force users to verify their devices.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you, Andy.
All right. Well, that looks like we're just out of questions. Patrick, Valère, thank you very, very much for showing your expertise and your time. Everyone who joined along and everyone watching at home, thank you. I hope that was useful. That's it. That's your lot. Goodbye.
Thanks. Bye.